I'm 5 minutes late. It's okay. There's a reason for it. I went out to the mailroom because I got a delivery notification on my little email, and it said that a package I ordered from Osborne Family Enterprises had arrived. And I was like, okay, well, I can get to the stream on time, or I can delay it 5 minutes and I can open this package I got on the stream. So it's something I bought. You guys know I love merch. I think it's very cool. The problem is I don't have that much merch I want to buy because I already own so much Nebraska stuff. But the other day, what's in this package popped up on Twitter, and I saw it and thought, I have to have this item. It was like $75. It's a business expense, so it's okay. And it's something I'm going to keep for a really long time. I think it's interesting. So I'm going to open it with you guys on the stream right now to show you what this thing is. So it's the Nebraska 100-year anniversary. It looks like I don't want to call it a yearbook, but it's like a photo book, coffee table book is what it is. Rip this plastic off here. I'm getting a new apartment. My roommate Ari and I are moving to West Hollywood in about 3 weeks. And I thought, what could I put on a coffee table that would be cool? And then literally days later, this pops up on Twitter, and I had to get it because I like to make sure everyone who comes to my apartment is as educated about Nebraska as possible, since they all know what I do, and they all know pretty much nothing about our program. Trash all that, and we've got this book. So I have never seen anything like this for Nebraska. It's hard copy. It's nice quality. This isn't an advertisement, by the way. I paid for this freaking thing, but I just wanted to show you because I think stuff like this is cool. It's got a bunch of pictures over the years, Memorial Stadium, University of Nebraska football, stories, I'm assuming, in here. It seems pretty cool to me. I know I'll spend hours going through it. Got a little back picture as well. I mean, this is going to be solid photos and interesting info. So yeah, if you want a cool coffee table book, I wish someone would have told me about this sooner. I mean, I'm sure it just came out, but this is the type of thing that I love. It's interesting. It's unique. It's something I can share with other people. So yeah, I had to go and grab it from the mailroom because I wanted to show you in case you guys wanted to buy it, because I would be frustrated if there was something this cool online that I could have and you didn't tell me to go get it. But yeah, they should have paid me for this ad. I'll tell you that right now. But it's okay. It's okay. We're here talking about Nebraska. For tomorrow, we're going to talk about some of the player props that I saw online. Not that you guys care about betting on the player props. I don't either. But it just gives us an idea of what Vegas thinks is going to happen. We're going to talk about some of the other big games tomorrow because there are a ton of them. I know it's been all over Twitter and YouTube, and everybody's saying, oh, this is the biggest week in college football. Yeah, we know. It's cool. It's a lot of good games. We're excited for it. And I have my friend Jake on the line, so we're going to pop him in. Jake does content with me. You guys have seen him before. He's been making content with me since I started the channel. So, yeah, pretty interesting, fun, cool. Colin says, guys, did you know Deion Sanders is coaching college football? Yeah, if you haven't seen yet, go on Twitter. He's a coach at Colorado. There's a lot of funny troll content with him and people talking about that. So, Colin, good timing. I like that. Anyway, I'm going to bring in Jake right now. So, Jake, say hi to people.
What's going on, Corn Crazed? Glad to be on the stream.
Just so you guys know, he's an Indiana fan. He knows a lot about Nebraska football because we talk about it all the time. And he's my my co-host for Bro Throw on YouTube. So we do weekly shows. I'm not promoting this. You guys already know about it. But I do weekly shows on here with Jake where we go through the best bets for whatever the big games are of the week. So we talk about like 12 games a week in our best bets, and Jake's a really good co-host. He's really knowledgeable about college football, and that's why I wanted to have him on this stream today because yeah, there's like, a lot to talk about. Anyway, with all that said, Jake, I want to get to the chat really quick, say hi to the people because there are a lot of chats so far. It's building up. First one that I saw was, is it going to rain tomorrow or not? Okay, I actually wanted to know this myself. There's been a lot of talk about rain in Lincoln, Jake. I'm not sure if you saw it. So in 2018, Scott Frost's first year, the Akron game got lightninged out. And we didn't get to have the first game, which means they didn't get a warm-up. Adrian Martinez started his first game against Colorado. They ended up losing at the very end. And we had to blame the weather, right? Now, there's a game this week that is crucial for Nebraska to get to a bowl game. I mean, there's a chance Nebraska could get to a bowl game without this one, but it really feels like they've got to win and get this one under their belt this week. Number one, because we want the extra win. Number two, because you've got Heinrich and you've got Sims who both need to get a little bit more work in before conference play starts, right? So I looked at the weather. It says that there's a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. This game is supposed to be played at, 2:30? So hopefully, even if there was a delay, it wouldn't go past 4 p.m. And then, yeah, we can hopefully get this game played. So I'm optimistic about the weather, but Jake, I know we've seen a bunch of games get canceled and delayed that are around the country, and we don't want this happening to Nebraska tomorrow. So that's the update. I don't know anything else outside of that. I'm not a weatherman. I just do my research on Google, and that's it. Eric, I'm sending you love back
Rain
from
could help.
California,
I'm
by the
sorry.
way. Jake, talk.
I was gonna say the rain could honestly help Nebraska. I think that Louisiana Tech is their quarterback, Hank Bachmeier, and Nebraska's got a solid run game. And as you said, this game is absolutely must win for Nebraska if they want to make it to a bowl game. This is the last game outside of conference play. Louisiana Tech has by far the worst talent of any team remaining on the schedule. So I agree with you. This is definitely a must win game if they want to make it to a bowl game this season.
Well, people are saying 22.3%, 23% chance of rain. No matter what, it'll probably be wet to some degree. And if it is wet, then maybe that does help them because they're going to want to run the ball a lot more. And Hank Bachmeier might want to throw it, right? Like you said. So we'll see. Either way,
Well,
I'm
either
not
way,
too
I
worried
mean,
about getting
Nebraska
delayed.
should want it to be a nice day out because I think you, as you said, you got both Sims and Harburg, and you want to get them both a good chance and see what they've got, see who might be the guy moving forward. You and I were at the Nebraska Colorado game, and Sims was very disappointing in that game. So if Harburg can play well, I think you want to give him an opportunity on a nice day and see him sling the rock around against a team that's got a worse defense than anyone they're going to see going forward.
I agree with that. What do we know about Hank Bachmeier from last year? Outside of, did he get benched or did he get injured and that ended his career at Boise?
Neither. I think they fired the offensive coordinator and then he left the team shortly after.
But there was at some point it felt like he wasn't playing. He must have gotten injured or something because there were 4 games he missed and that
Yeah,
backup
that was
came in.
probably an injury before then.
Either way, I was interested to know that he went to Louisiana Tech, and it seems like they have a better running game this year so far than passing game. So apparently they just haven't gotten it rolling quick enough, but they do want to pass. They're committed to it. So we're going to see. Anyway, there are a lot of games tomorrow, but like I said, we're going to start off talking about this Louisiana Tech one. Here, and by the way, James, thank you for gifting all those memberships. Every week or every time I go live, James comes on here and gifts a bunch of memberships to the people so I can see their comments pop up. So thank you, James. We all appreciate you. Anyway, here are the lines for Nebraska tomorrow. You've got Anthony Grant over 82.5 rushing yards. I mean, it sounds high. If he's the premier back, it isn't high since they're going to only be able to give it to him. But Jake, what do you think? From a betting standpoint, what do you think about this?
I think a lot of it might depend on who the quarterback is. If Sims is going to play and he may still be nursing part of that ankle injury, then I love it even more for Grant because you'd think they would want to keep some hits away from Sims. I think they're going to definitely want to give Emmett Johnson plenty of carries because this is a great opportunity to show what he's got before the Big Ten defenses come to town. I lean the over for Anthony Grant for sure, just because the other two guys, Gabe Irvin and Ramir Johnson, are gone. Someone's going to get these yards. And Grant's a good player. We've seen him have some great games this year and last year when he can hold on to the football. I think he's due for a big game.
So let's assume Jeff Sims comes out, starts the opening drive. And I do think he's going to play a significant role tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to play half the game, quarter of the game, whatever that is. He's going to play. So let's assume he comes out and starts the opening drive. Do you think Nebraska's game plan is to get him to throw it and get him to get a little bit of confidence in that area? Do you think Nebraska's just going to try and run it downhill the entire way through? What do you think Nebraska wants to do to prepare for Michigan and to obviously make sure they aren't getting any more injuries?
Number one thing for Sims, they got to get his confidence up. He's made some pretty elementary mistakes, dropping snaps, throwing bad interceptions. I think they're going to call a very simple game plan, quick, short, easy throws, ways to give him to get balls to playmakers in space and not have potential for turnovers. If he's dropping snaps, that's one thing, but if he's forcing it into a coverage, that's another.
And if he's staring down receivers, that'll be another thing people are going to look for. I see the top list right here for receiver totals. So you got Alex Bullock at 25.5. Last week, he would have gone over that. He had one catch that went for, I think, 33 yards on the screen. You got Billy Kemp with 40.5. Billy's been, pretty consistent these last 2 weeks. He could do more, I think is the right way to say it. I'm surprised that 40 would be his average every week. I would expect it to be 60, 70, especially since the other guys aren't, overperforming. And then you've got Marcus Washington around the same total and Thomas Fidone at 24.5. So Thomas Fidone, Jake, was the tight end who caught the ball over the middle for a touchdown to start it, or not a touchdown. He caught the ball over the middle for a big gain last week with Heinrich. And I don't know what the game plan is to stop Fidone. I don't know if teams are going to start to key on him because he has such a big body and he presents a different challenge. But I really like Nebraska leaning more on the tight end play now. Fidoni's already got 2 touchdowns on the year. Granted, one was in garbage time at Colorado, but hopefully he can get those numbers up because I think he's going to be a weapon that they can use. And obviously, if Heinrich's going to play more, he's going to look to since he has a really good relationship with him. So, receiving roles, not sure who's going to break out right now. It's a toss up between Kemp and Washington, but those are all super low totals if we're expecting them to have to throw it with Sims. That's my takeaway from what you said, because you said that you think they're going to throw it with Sims. It's all going to be short.
I would also love to see them get that freshman in there, Malachi Coleman, and have him see what he's got. Throw a couple deep balls up to him against some definitely shorter Louisiana Tech cornerbacks.
I think Malachi's due for some playing time. I don't know how soon it's going to come. And that's kind of what makes this week intriguing. What's so interesting about weeks like this is I can tell when fans are interested because I can just look at my numbers and I know when people are watching content versus when they're not. I can see when my comments are up or when they're down. And right now everything's down. It's super low. People don't care as much. But this week is such a crucial week and such an exciting week for a really diehard Nebraska fan because there's so much to learn. I think that was the point I made in my Louisiana Tech preview. It's not about will Nebraska win. It's not about how much will they win by. It's about what will we find out about this team and what is there to look forward to going forward? What players are going to make experience, or what players are going to get crucial game experience and make appearances that lead us to believe they're going to play more significant roles down the line? And then which of these quarterbacks is going to emerge, and will Jeff Sims clean up these issues? So because there are so many questions, I think that's what makes this situation so exciting, even though it's more of a bland game plan, I would say, since all you have to do is run it straight down their throats and not have to worry about much since you can overpower them. Max
Right.
says
There's
that
not really
no,
there's not
continue.
really a question they're going to win the game. They're 21-point favorites. Vegas is saying they're going to win. If they lose outright, then you got to start asking yourself some big questions. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either. And Max says that Satterfield said this week they want to throw it much more. He said this a couple days ago. They're currently 129th in the country in passes per game. That's insane. I had no idea it was 129th nationally. That's like second to last. Ugh. Well, to be fair, they used Harburg last week and they restricted him a little bit. I think he only threw it 24 times. But I mean, what do you expect for a guy who's never started the game before? How often do you want to throw it with him? Especially when he's a clear-cut runner. Anyway, Jake, let's talk about some of the bigger games this week before we go to get back to Nebraska and take more questions or hear what other people's takes are on them. First things first, I want to talk about the Big Ten. Wait, this one's the Big Ten tab. Starts off tonight with Wisconsin at Purdue. I was watching this game. You're obviously watching it too because you bet on it. Wisconsin's up 18 with the ball. Purdue's offense had one good drive, but it got stalled twice. Actually, they had 2 good drives. One led to 3 points. The other one stalled twice because you had 2, I think it was false starts, or 1 holding and 1 false start. Purdue's offense and their defense looked terrible. I was hoping Purdue could win this game because it would give Nebraska some sort of hope that they can stay in the conversation, because if Wisconsin and Iowa and everybody else is getting beat up on by these lower tier West teams, then it'll be kind of a challenging situation going all the way to November. If Wisconsin just runs the table, then we're going to know who the winner is by early November, right?
I mean, I think this game is definitely more of an indictment on Purdue, at least from what we saw. A lot of penalties, a lot of bad plays. I mean, Wisconsin wasn't doing anything special. They were just running read option the entire way up and down the field. I mean, Tanner Mordecai had 2 rushing touchdowns. This is not a guy who normally runs the ball in for touchdowns. They said this is now 4 rushing touchdowns he's had with Wisconsin. He had 4 his entire career before that. So literally 1/4 of all rushing touchdowns he's had in his career has come in the first half of this game against Purdue. Just a disgusting performance from them. They look horrible.
It's their
I don't necessarily think that Wisconsin is like a great world-beating team because they're beating up on this bad Purdue team.
it's on their defense that Wisconsin's looking so good is kind of the point. Hudson Card looked okay as a runner. He had a few big runs, and then he had one where he slid down, almost picked up the first, or maybe didn't. It was on a 3rd and long. Either way, it was going to be close, and they were going to go for it. Then a holding brings it back. So he's just getting screwed. I don't think Hudson Card's a bad quarterback. I just think that he's in an offense that's severely underperforming. So we'll see what happens with Purdue going forward. Other games, Nebraska, 21-point favorite tomorrow. Over under is 47. I gave my prediction for this game, and I think I said 38-17. That would indicate an over. It would obviously say Nebraska is going to push, not going to cover. What's your prediction for this? Score prediction.
I'm leaning a little bit lower of a total for that for Nebraska, just because I think they're going to be going, as you said, with both Sims and Harburg. I think that might have a little bit of issues of the offense staying in rhythm when they're going back and forth. I'm picking Nebraska 27-14 in this game.
27-14 would be uncomfortably close. I'm going to be honest with you. And if it was that close, it would be like, why didn't the defense do their job? Or maybe the question is, why didn't the offense get more consistent and sustain longer drives throughout the game, right? And get back to the end zone. So yeah, there's some question marks if Nebraska keeps it that close, but I wouldn't be mad with a win either way. Rutgers plays Michigan. They're a 24-point dog. Totals 43.5, which would indicate Michigan's going to dominate on defense. You know, could this be a look ahead spot for Michigan having to go on the road to Nebraska next week? Not that Nebraska's a really good team. I don't know. I'm going to say that they're more worried about Rutgers right now. Rutgers looks more polished, and Rutgers looks like they could be a problem. Although I do think Michigan will win. I don't know what I'd say for a score prediction, but I am going to say I think Rutgers loses by 17 or less.
Yeah, this is Jim Harbaugh's first game back, I believe, since the suspension ended. I think Michigan's going to be ready to go. He's going to have them focused for this game. I think Michigan's going to roll.
What about Florida Atlantic at Illinois? Florida Atlantic is down Casey Thompson. That's something. Uh, Illinois has been really bad this year so far. I don't know. I'm assuming Luke Altmaier starts. He's got 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You can see right here on the screen. Ugh, ugly numbers. Illinois did not do what they were able to do last year, which is dominate the line of scrimmage and have good defense that can keep them in games. They weren't able to replicate that, at least in the offseason. So what do you see for this? You think Illinois is going to get back on track? They're going to be a problem in the Big Ten West? Or are you looking at Illinois as a team who's regressing back to where they were a couple of years ago before Brett Bielema got there?
Yeah, I think Illinois is really hurting from losing their defensive coordinator, Ryan Walters, over to Purdue. I think it's a lot better to run the ball with success and have your offensive line get success when the defense is getting you turnovers, getting you stops, and getting the ball back on the field for you to tire the other team's defense out. It's kind of one of those things where a good running game leads to a good defense, and a good defense leads to a good run game. Casey Thompson being out is obviously devastating for Florida Atlantic. They just don't have the talent to compete with Illinois. Illinois should win this game. I'm staying away from it from a betting perspective just because 15 points is too many to get a read on two pretty mediocre teams.
Yeah, of course. I'm not betting on it either. I just think I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out which teams are going to be a problem in the Big Ten West. Like right now, I've identified Purdue as a team who I think Nebraska will beat at home. I feel really comfortable about that. Illinois is going to be a road game on a Friday night following Michigan. I feel good about that spot because Nebraska will be a little bit frustrated from a loss if they do lose that game, right? So is Illinois a legitimate threat to knock them off? I mean, I think anybody's a threat to knock Nebraska off this year, but which ones can we be more confident in, right? Well, another one I can tell you I'm more confident in is Michigan State, but they're playing Maryland, who's been a problem so far. Michigan State, I don't think their players are happy that their coach is gone. And because they're not happy the coach is gone, I don't think they're going to live up to the expectation I had, which was for them to get to 6 wins in a bowl game this year. Maybe I even said 7. Either way, I said they're getting to a bowl game. I don't think they're going to one. And Maryland, it feels like they're kind of in their last hurrah with Talia, and they want to make sure that he goes out with a bang. So they got to win at least 7 games. And if they win this one, they'll be on pace to.
Yeah, Michigan State getting rid of Coach Mel Tucker is definitely not something that the locker room was happy with. Same thing with Northwestern getting rid of Pat Fitzgerald. Whatever things you want to say happened off the field, both situations have a lot of similarities. But both of them have the similarities that the players love playing for them. And Michigan State looked absolutely deflated, absolutely horrific against Washington. It's going to be tough for them to get that motivation back only 1 week later.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer, but I will say this. They're wearing alternate helmets. I posted them up. So they used to be called the Michigan Agriculture College. So they had this cursive MAC, almost like a Irish font. I don't know how to describe it, but it's pretty cool. It's this big logo on the side of the helmet. So if you haven't seen them, you got to check them out. I posted them on Instagram. They're nice. Next up, tomorrow, huge game. Ohio State is at Notre Dame. Kyle McCord, Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman, to me, is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but he has not played a defense like Ohio State yet. I am a believer in Notre Dame and in, what's his name? Marcus Freeman. I really like him. I think he's like the perfect cultural fit. I think he connects to the players. He's not a Deion Sanders in the sense that he's a flashy, crazy guy, but I do think he's a Deion Sanders in the sense that he really connects with the players. He's younger. He's a former player. I think he's a player's coach, and he's been pretty good so far. So I'm taking Notre Dame here. What do you think is going to happen in this game? They said 40% of the crowd is going to be Ohio State.
Yeah, the tickets that we got for the Colorado Nebraska game were very expensive, and the Ohio State Notre Dame average ticket price is like $900 or something, way above the Colorado Nebraska price. Absolutely absurd. This game is going to be crazy. I like Notre Dame also. Marcus Freeman, as you said, last year was his first year as head coach. He loses to Ohio State week 1. He then goes on and loses to Marshall week 2. And he gets absolutely destroyed by fans, by media, everyone ridiculing him. He definitely has not forgotten that. Getting the home field advantage is going to be absolutely huge for this game. I like Notre Dame to win this one as well. Hartman is leagues better than McCord, and I think that's going to be the difference in the game.
You don't think that McCord could come on and be strong later as we go?
I 100% think that they could, and Ohio State's got incredible wide receivers. So I definitely think that they could scheme up ways to mitigate McCord's weaknesses. But McCord's only played one game on the road in his career in college, and that was against these Indiana Hoosiers. And I'm not saying that it's not tough to go on the road to Memorial Stadium, the Indiana one, but it's a lot more difficult to do it at Notre Dame.
That's fair. Well, I like Notre Dame to win outright. I hope they win outright. I think it'd be good for college football to see a new face come in. Notre Dame is historic. They're kind of like Nebraska. They've obviously been good recently, but they've had a few years where they've been off, and I'd like to see them get back into front facing, get into the driver's seat. And I think it's a exciting story when you have a really young coach and a former player like Marcus Freeman get things turned around. It's not one of these old coaches like Brian Kelly or somebody who's done it before. New face. So I like the idea. Next up, we've got Iowa at Penn State, whiteout game. Iowa's wearing black pants. I saw that, and I thought that was interesting because I didn't realize they never wear black pants. They always wear yellow pants. Makes sense why it's a special occasion. I don't think that's going to help them, though. I think Penn State's pretty dominant. However, 14.5 points seems like a lot. Can Penn State do what they did to Illinois to Iowa?
Yeah, Penn State's been really good this season, and it's all because of their defense. Their defense, to me, has been the best in the entire country this season. Georgia's been a little bit down, Bama's been a little bit down, and Penn State has been playing phenomenally. I don't think that Cade McNamara from Iowa is going to make the same mistakes that Altmaier did for Illinois in terms of those interceptions. And it's such a low over-under total, only 38.5. It's actually dropped from 40 where it was a couple days ago when we recorded our bro throw video. Penn State's going to win this one, but I think Iowa can keep it close and keep it within 14.
That's the thing. If Iowa's not going to throw 3 interceptions, can Penn State get that much separation? You would argue that, well, now this is a more important game. They're going to be a little bit more focused. It's at home, not on the road. I don't know though. I don't think Penn State's going to blow these guys out. That's, you know, it's a tough one to say that they'll win by 14. We've got Akron, Indiana. I mean, that's an obvious Indiana win. The last one's Minnesota, Northwestern. Again, I don't even care to talk about it because we already know Minnesota should beat Northwestern. Some other big games on the slate. You got Florida State at Clemson. Everybody thought Florida State was supposed to be this legit team. Last week, there were some red flags. As a fan, I think Florida State takes care of business. They have a bunch of star players. They've obviously won the transfer portal. Clemson's completely neglected it. So as a fan, I'm saying Florida State wins. As a sports bettor and reading the line and understanding what the public's on, I'm taking Clemson. My money's on Clemson. But as a fan, I think Florida State's going to win.
I saw a stat today that said when a top 5 team is on the road and they are not bigger than a 4-point favorite, which Florida State is not, they're only a 2-point favorite. They are 4-8 straight up all time. So they lose 2 out of every 3 times in the situation. I personally am a big Florida State fan. We've talked about all season long and even last season how important transfer portal recruiting is. Florida State had the #1 transfer portal recruiting class in the entire country, even better than Colorado. I think last week's bad performance is more of a look ahead to this game. I'm still going to ride with Florida State in this spot.
Florida State has some really good players. That's the thing. You know who else has some really good players? Colorado. Really quick, I had this tweet. So here's an anonymous coach saying Oregon is going to boat race Colorado. There's a lot of bark and no bite to them. It says, I think Oregon's going to boat race them. Oregon's different up front. A lot of bark, not much bite. When they run into the bigger dogs in the Pac-12, it's going to come to an end. So Colorado's such an interesting story, right? They play with a lot of passion. They play with a lot of pride. They beat a TCU team who was breaking in an entirely new roster, at least an entirely new front 22 on both sides of the ball. I think they only returned 3 starters on defense or something crazy like that. That TCU team also had no film on them. Then they played a Nebraska team who, as usual, beat themselves. So you can't judge a team because they beat Nebraska. There's zero. Indiana could have beat Nebraska last year, and Indiana also could have lost every other game, and it wouldn't have changed your mind on Indiana. It just would have made you say Nebraska's that bad. So I'm taking the Nebraska loss out of it. So Colorado has 2 really close wins, 3-point wins, or I guess last week was a 7-point win. Either way, they have 2 really close 1-score wins against Colorado State and against TCU. Now they're going to Oregon. They've talked big talk for the last however many weeks. 21 points doesn't feel fair. I think if I was going to really make a strong prediction and I'd put a lot on the line for it, I'd say Colorado loses by 17. I think 21 is ridiculous because I think they're passionate. I think they play for their coach. I think that these guys play with pride. I think they all want to win trophies and they all want to be recognized and get to the NFL. I don't see quitting them. Culturally, they're sound, I think is the right way to say it. Oregon's really good though. Do you think there's any chance that the hype slows down on Colorado if they only lose by 14? Or do you think the hype only kind of slows down if they get blown out?
I don't think the hype's going to slow down, period, regardless of what happens. I think that they've already done enough and already shown enough that they're going to be incredibly hyped by the media, by fans, by everyone the entire season long. I think they could even lose, 60% of the remaining games and still get overhyped and get game days when it's not deserved and all that. As you said, Colorado, they played TCU very close. They played Colorado State very close. And honestly, Nebraska, they played very close as well. In the first half of that game, it was a turnover in field goal range from Jeff Sims. It was another turnover in their own end of the field that led to another field goal, and another turnover in their own end of the field that led to the touchdown. It's not like Colorado was doing much in offense to get those field position spots. It was all turnovers by Nebraska. I think that Colorado, it's then, do you say one thing? Do they play to their level of competition? Or, as you said, have they played 3 relatively weak teams and now are going against a much better team? I don't think anyone's questioning that Oregon's going to be able to score at will on Colorado. Is really, can Colorado keep up? I'm inclined to think that they can, at least in terms of covering the spread. I don't know about winning, but I think that Dion and his boys have proven that they're willing to play with anybody, and on offense, they can probably score on anyone. I don't think Oregon's defense is particularly all that strong. So I like the over in this game. I think I like Colorado plus the points. I think Colorado's worth a small sprinkle on the money line just in case. I mean, we've seen them already cover 21-point outright spreads before, so it could happen again. But I think Oregon's going to win, but like you said, maybe by 10 or 14, 17, something like that.
Yeah, I actually am inclined to take the Colorado money line just for fun. $15 pays 115 on Bro Throw at least, which is pretty damn good. So I'm going to take that just for fun. I'm going to root for Colorado. It's so weird. Jake, you don't understand because you didn't grow up a Nebraska fan, but Colorado is such a hated rival for Nebraska. And I remember my very first, or not my very first, it was my second Nebraska game of my entire life, was in 2004 in Memorial Stadium for the Colorado game. And they ended up beating Nebraska. And I remember the vibe was just rough, with my family at least. And then I remember the 2001 game when Colorado blew them out at home. Again, rough vibe. Now, being a Dion fan, I was an advocate for Dion to come to Nebraska. However long ago that was, 9 months ago, 10 months ago. Being a Dion,
you're looking very prophetic for that statement. You were really the only one on the Dion to Nebraska train, and it's looking like it would have been a home run.
Really wanted him, but anyway, Colorado and Dion now kind of getting together makes me feel so icky inside because I want to wear Colorado merch. Not really. I want to wear I Ain't Hard to Find merch. I want to wear primetime merch, but I can't because it's a contradiction. And it just doesn't work when you're a Nebraska fan as big as I am, right? So it's just tough to watch all this happen with him, but I am rooting for him to succeed. So I don't want the train to slow down. There's a lot of people who don't like it. There was someone in the chat a minute ago, I saw it slide by, and they said, is it pride or is it arrogance? And people feel like the Colorado stuff is arrogant, and I get it. I'm a little younger than I think some of the people in the chat, so I know when I talk to older people, they don't like it. Younger people get off to it though. They're like, okay, I like the shit talk and I like the excitement and I like the flashiness. It's funny. And you have to understand the joke to it, right? There's a little bit of a comedic element to it that people don't get, right? There's a little bit of trolling. So if you
Yeah.
don't get
Well,
that,
Coach,
you won't like it.
well, The Rock was on College Game Day last week with Dion, and I think that's a good example because there's a difference between The Rock and Dwayne Johnson, just like there's a difference between Deion Sanders and Coach Prime. When he's Coach Prime, he's playing a character. Now, granted, a lot of that parts are his character of himself turned up to 11, but still, that's not who he is as his normal everyday personal life.
Yep.
And I think it's very important to understand that distinction.
It's a great point. Really quick, if anyone wants to join the waiting room on Discord. We can take live call-ins. You can talk to Jake and I, get your questions in, talk to us about whatever you want. Just join the waiting room in Discord. I can pull you in and we can take live call-ins. Pretty simple. Anyway, Jake.
Also, I don't think you're going to have to worry about feeling bad about rooting for Dion at Colorado for too long because I think he's gone after this year.
No, he's not gone after this year, but he will be gone after the next year. So what's good is I'll be able to go to Memorial Stadium next year and watch Nebraska beat him. That's the good news, because I do think there's a really good chance Nebraska can beat them in Memorial Stadium when they come around. And if they don't have Shador, it'll be an even better chance. Anyway, another game on here I want to talk about really quick is just Alabama and Ole Miss. It's interesting because Alabama's a 6.5-point favorite. Bama has not looked very good this year. People keep talking about, is it the end of the Alabama dynasty? What's your take on Alabama and Nick Saban and where he stands?
Yeah, I was very high on Alabama going into the season. Nick Saban, if you take out his first year at Alabama, he's had at least 9 wins every single year. That's basically Tom Osborne-like numbers.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. And a lot of those years were with bad quarterbacks. So I'm like, okay, doesn't matter if he's got Jalen Milroe, who's not as good at throwing the ball as a lot of his other quarterbacks. He'll figure it out. They still got talent at every other position. But with NIL and with transfer portal, they're no longer able to stack up 4, 5, 6 5-stars at every position. And a lot of these guys are leaving Bama when they commit there to go to places with more playing time, like Indiana. We've recruited a lot of guys from SEC programs who are highly recruited freshmen and then don't get a lot of playing time. So I think right now what we're seeing is a lot of depth issues with the Alabama, and we're seeing that with a lot of other top programs. We're seeing with Clemson, even Georgia doesn't look as dominant as the past. And I really think that what it comes down to is these coaches need to embrace the transfer portal like Lane Kiffin has done.
People talk about at Nebraska, at least, how they don't want to be all transfer portal. They want to develop from within. And I get that, but there will always be room for transfer portal players on your roster, especially when we're talking about depth. I think the dream right now for me at Nebraska, at least, is you get a quarterback in who you can develop. Say it's Razak. I think he plays at Westside right now. Or say it's Daniel Kalen, who's having a really bad year. Either one of those two, I think they both come to Nebraska. Figure out which one's ready to go by his sophomore year, right? Because you're not going to get a true freshman QB in, most likely, and have him ready to roll. So you get one of them in. But
I
in
think
the
the
meantime,
days of true freshman quarterbacks playing in general are numbered.
I think so too. You have the freaks like Dante Moore over at UCLA who beat out Ethan Garbers, I think, in week 1. And now he's starting against Utah this week in a top 15 game. But that's rare. It's because he's a 5-star superstar, right? It's different if we're talking about a 3-star quarterback. And typically Nebraska would only recruit 3 or 4-star quarterbacks. Anyway, my point is, you get a quarterback in who can be the Band-Aid for a year. So next year, is Harburg ready to start? Is Sims back? Or is it time to get somebody else to fill that hole while you develop your young guys? Now at receiver, my cousin and I were talking about this the other day. He's like, next year it's really important that Nebraska has a number 1 receiver who was recruited and has only played at Nebraska. You don't want to have to go to the portal every year for your number 1 guy. If you go back in the past 3 years, Samari Toure in 2021, 2022 was Trey Palmer. This year is Billy Kemp. Why do we always have to go to the portal for a number 1 receiver? So that would indicate you'd want to get a Malachi Coleman, a Jalen Lloyd, Jaden Doss, somebody who's been recruited recently, who's going to be in their second season to be ready to play, okay? But there's always going to be a need for depth. There's always going to be a need for, we lost somebody to the portal, so we've got to replace one. Or there's a guy who's super hot right now, like a Keon Coleman who left Michigan State for Florida State. And if you're competing for Big Ten championships or whatever you're competing for, 9-win seasons, you're going to be able to get some of those guys. And I don't think you're ever going to be able to fully turn away from the portal, even though you want to develop from within. You just have to know how to use it the right way, but don't let it be a crutch that cripples you because you aren't developing the guys who you're bringing in as true freshmen. Can we agree with
Well, there's
that?
two types of transfers. There's transfers who transfer up, and there's transfers who transfer down.
Yes.
So the example of that is, for example, guys like what I said about Alabama. Guys who are 5 stars who commit to Alabama, they're not getting playing time. They go somewhere else. Look at Indiana quarterback Taven Jackson, 4-star recruit out of high school. Didn't even consider Indiana coming out of high school. His older brother is Trace Jackson Davis, the star basketball player for Indiana for the last 4 years. His brother didn't even consider us coming out as a football player. He goes to Tennessee, doesn't win the job behind Hendon Hooker, behind Joe Milton. True freshman 5-star Nico Iamava, however you pronounce it, comes in. He sees the writing on the wall. He says, I got to go out. He transfers down. Keon Coleman, Jamison Williams, Kenneth Walker. These are guys who have transferred up. They play well at small schools, and they say, I'm going to a bigger program. I'm going to a place where more eyes can get on me. More people from the draft can look at me. I have a chance to win Big Ten championships and national championships. Nebraska needs to get to a spot where they're getting guys who transfer up. They need to be getting guys who play well at smaller schools, like Anthony Grant, and say, I'm going to go to Nebraska because that's where I can shine and that's where I can be featured. And
Right.
those are the guys that need to start be targeting.
Yeah, Anthony Grant's a good example because he came from junior college, transferred in. Another one was Samari Toure, was at Montana, knew he could go to the NFL if he was in front of a bigger stage, came to Nebraska. The transfers down would be an Eric Gilbert. He was at LSU or Georgia. He should have never had to leave. The fact that he had to leave was a red flag. MJ Sherman should have never had to leave. Now, I'm not bashed on MJ Sherman. I think he's freaking awesome, and he had some injury issues, but I'm just giving you an example. Guys like that who are leaving bigger programs to come down are red flags. You're taking a total flyer on them. Sometimes it pays off, like Trey Palmer from LSU. That was obviously a case of he came with his coach. But regardless,
Or Joe Burrow. He transferred down.
that's a good point too. He did. Would you call that transferring down? Yeah, he did transfer down at the time. Crypto Badger, thank you for the $20 super chat. He says he's talking about Dion and what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. He said it's called confidence backed up by performance. He is a salesman, plain and simple. So is Deion Sanders a head coach or is Deion Sanders a face? You know, a lot of people say the president of the United States right now. I don't know his name, but that guy, is he a face of our country or is he a guy who runs the country? And I think we can equate that to, is Deion Sanders the guy who runs the football program or is he the face of the football program? What do you think? Do you think he's a coach or do you think he's a brand?
I think it's a combo of both. I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare him to Biden. You know, that's
No, I'm
not
not. No, I'm not. I
insulting.
didn't say anybody's name. I'm just saying.
True, true. But no, but I think what Dion does is what you've kind of described earlier in previous videos. He's the CEO of the program. He's not necessarily out there at 2 o'clock in the morning breaking down the X's and O's. That's what he pays his assistants for. He's out there to bring in the big name recruits, to get the biggest coaching prospects to begin with, and to go out and sell the program and be the face and the leader of the program. If you're in terms of those two questions, he's the face of the program, only just because I don't think he's doing as much X and O coaching as other guys, like Matt Rule, for example.
I don't think he needs to though. If you hire the right assistants, you don't have to be in on the X's and O's. I go back to like a Scott Frost. He was all X's and O's, but he wasn't enough of a CEO and a leader. It's interesting. You've got to have the balance. Matt Rule, I think, has a really good balance. He's a great CEO, understands the entire process, manages the entire team and the entire program front to back, but he also understands the X's and O's, right? So, yeah, it's
I mean,
interesting.
there's an old football saying, it doesn't matter about the X's and O's if you've got the Jims and Joes. And Dion's got the Jims and Joes to beat the other teams.
Joshua says he's both. His assistant coaches help him out too, though. I'm not sure. Maybe he's talking about Matt Rule or maybe he's talking about Dion. I was talking about Dion.
So on Dion.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what his role is. Is he more of an offensive or a defensive coach? I mean, okay, obviously he's a defensive coach, but is he a position coach? Is he running the defense, right? How involved is he with Charles Kelly? It's interesting. So either way, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But I do like to get into the nuances of coaching because now you're going into a different phase. You're going into a different era. And with, I don't know who's going to be next, right? But with social media, with brand building, there is so much importance now on everything that comes with that job outside of X's and O's that it's going to give different people opportunities that didn't have them before. Whereas in the early days, you hired the best X and O guy to come in and manage it. Now you're hiring a CEO who can come in and manage the whole operation. And that CEO has to be an expert when it comes to hiring the right guys. Nick Saban at Bama. Did you just mention that? Yeah, Nick Saban at Bama
Yeah.
was an expert at hiring the right coaches. You go back through his coaching tree. Oh my God. Sark, Kiffin, uh, give me a bunch, just fire off big names. He had
Kirby Smart,
Kirby Smart. Did he have Mario Cristobal at one point? Mel Tucker.
probably.
He had both of them. There's a bunch that I'm not even thinking off the top of my head. But either way, he was hiring head coaches now who were coaching top 25 teams back whenever he had Bama humming in the mid 2000s. And because he was able to get the best coaches, like Minnie said, hired tremendous coaches, he was able to run and lead an elite program. So,
And that's what's going to happen with Dion too, because everyone knows that his assistant coaches are the one doing the most of the game planning, the most of the day-to-day stuff. And as long as his teams constantly have the best talent, which they're going to, these coaches are going to be putting them in good positions to perform on the field, which is going to lead to them getting head coaching jobs in the future. Like their offensive coordinator right now, Sean Kelly, I can guarantee you he's going to be gone after the season, head coach somewhere, some smaller program, sure, but that's how it goes for these guys. And eventually, when he does move to a bigger program like Colorado, he's going to have his pick of the litter every single year of what assistant coaches he wants because they'll be able to pay them a lot more if he's at a school like Texas A&M
mm-hmm.
or Florida State or Bama or wherever big school he can end up being at. He'll be able to afford to pay them a lot more. And these assistant coaches all know that he's the fast track to getting hired as a head coach.
That's for sure. If Sean Kelly leaves this year, let's say he goes to Michigan State. Actually, let's talk about Michigan State really quick. So last year, Nebraska had a few interviews that were kind of notable. Maybe two of them were the Kansas coaches. It was Kleiman and it was Leipold. I don't know. There's a bunch of people who say that Kleiman wouldn't leave Kansas State, that he wouldn't even leave Kansas State for Nebraska back when he had the opportunity to, which was, 9 months ago. But let's say you got Leipold, Kleiman, Sean Kelly from Colorado. Who do you think is a fit to go to the Big Ten now that we're switching over from the obviously divisions? You've got to have a coach who can win. You've got to have a coach who understands that identity of the Big Ten. And then you've got coaches over in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12 who are either going to have to merge with other conferences, aren't going to have as big of budgets. Big Ten has different kind of money. Who do you think some options are for that Michigan State job? Who would make sense?
Yeah, I think Michigan State is going to go after a big name personally. Big Ten has all this money coming into each individual team with the media rights deal. They already committed $95 million to Mel Tucker, so they've proven that they're willing to commit big money to a coach. They're now saving all this money on Mel Tucker, so in theory, they have $75 million that was earmarked to be paid to the football coach. That's now back in the athletic department's budget. So I think they're going to go for a big name. I think Leipold is certainly a guy they're going to look at. I think Jonathan Smith from Oregon State is the guy they're going to look at.
That's a
I think the
hit.
Washington I think the Washington State coach is the guy they're going to look at. But I think that this could be not to the same degree, but similar to when USC poached Lincoln Riley and no one was expecting that at all. I think that Michigan State might go out and hire a big name guy that no one's expecting.
Because they have that big budget like you're talking about. When we're talking about
Right.
75 million, we're talking about Wisconsin money, close to Nebraska money.
Absolutely. And with the divisions ending, I think Michigan State's going to see it as a real chance to finally compete and get back into the Big Ten championship game. Now that they no longer are guaranteed to play Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State every single year, and they're going to get some nice Big Ten West matchups mixed in there.
Yeah, those are all interesting, at least for a team like Michigan State and all these other teams who are going to be able to cross over and play not the Rutgers of the world, but now UCLA's, Nebraska's, Washington's. Scheduling is going to be cool. I think that's what I'm most excited for. I saw this graphic pop up on Twitter I wanted to share. So this is the Big Ten sack leaders. What's interesting about this is Nebraska has played two, we'll call them mobile quarterbacks. Ethan Kaliak-Manis was mobile. Rocky Lombardi was okay, but I'm not going to call him mobile. And then obviously Shador could run around. So Nebraska has 4 guys in the top 10. Is that 10? No, 12. 2, 4, 6, 7, 14. 4 guys in the top 14 of the Big Ten in sacks. Reimer, Butler, who, guys, Butler was a backup. I think a backup jack who now plays defensive end. Nick Henrich, who a lot of people were saying should be on the bench behind John Bullock before the season started. And then Cam Lenhart, true freshman, got injured, I think, last week, should play this week. So this is pretty impressive. The only other team on here with at least 2 is Minnesota. Oh, Purdue as well. So Purdue, Minnesota, and Nebraska all lead the Big Ten in sacks, basically, at least individually. So it's exciting for Nebraska. They have a defense that can not only keep them in games, but change field position and actually give their offense a chance. And their offense needs any chance they can get. Jake, I got another question for you.
Yeah. A lot of these Big Ten West games are going to be very winnable if the defense can play like they have early on this season.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. Someone asked in the chat earlier, is this the worst the Big Ten, or when was the last time the Big Ten West was this bad? So first off, I want to answer that question. The Big Ten West is bad every year. The Big Ten West looks better because other teams are so bad and give away wins, right? Like Nebraska, who's really inconsistent, like Purdue has been, like Illinois has been before Bielema came in. So anyway, the point is a lot of these Big Ten West teams look better. They end up getting blown out in the Big Ten championship game by Michigan or and Ohio State, and then they end up with 7, 8, 9 wins, and people are like, oh, well, they had a good year. It's like, okay, they had a good year, but they played an atrocious schedule. So I want to know who you think the best conference in college football is this season. Typically, it's the SEC who leads, the Big Ten is in second, and then it's a fight between the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac 12. What would your ranking be for the top 3 as of today?
Right now, I would have the SEC at number 3, even though they still have Georgia, who is the number 1 team in the country. They haven't lost a game in 3 years. They don't look as strong as they normally have. Alabama's fallen a little bit too. LSU was lost to Florida State. There hasn't been any other team that's kind of stepped up to that upper echelon. And even though these teams are all good, they're not necessarily as good as we kind of predicted them. So I'm going SEC at 3, Big 10 at 2, and the Pac-12 at number 1.
How disrespectful is it that the Pac-12 is the best conference in football this year, and the Pac-12 won't exist in 6
It's
months?
absolutely crazy. It's a sign of the times that a conference that has probably 6 or 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the entire country is not good enough to get big TV rights deals. I mean, I thought it's quarterbacks and passing game that's pushing all this TV. That's why they changed all these rules, right? To encourage more passing, to encourage not as many big hits because they want to see the passing games flourish and guys not getting hurt. And not that I don't want guys to not get hurt, but passing doesn't matter for these TV deals. Let's get the big hits back.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way, but it is true. They did try to encourage more passing because they want more entertainment. How sick is it though? The Pac-12 has how many NFL QBs right now? USC has a number 1 pick. Colorado has a top 5 pick. Michael Penix is a potential top 15 pick. You can't.
He's tough to project just because he had so many injuries at IU playing behind our terrible offensive line. That might push him down a little bit. But if he continues to have a huge year, wins the Heisman, make the playoffs, that could push him up into the top 5. So
fair. Bo Nix, where's Bo Nix land? Is Bo Nix a top 15 pick?
Bo Nix, in terms of college quarterbacks, is one of the best in the country. I'm a little less convinced on his transition to the NFL quarterback.
But right now, they're talking about him being a Heisman potential.
Yep, absolutely.
DJ
Same with guys
Uiagalelei.
like DJ Uiagalelei, Cam Ward, Cam Rising. These are all guys who are great college players who may not necessarily translate to the pros as much. But
Jaden Rashad at Arizona State, who's a true freshman. Jaden DeLaura at Arizona. He's not an NFL quarterback, but he's really good in college. So let's see. There are
Dante Moore at UCLA.
Emerging. 1, 2. I'm counting them right now. USC, Colorado, Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA, Utah, Washington, Washington State, Arizona. So, Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of the 12 schools in the Pac-12 have quarterbacks who I'd argue are in the top 40 in the nation.
Yeah, easily.
That's wild. Who would have thought? I have a comment up here from Minnie. She said she would manage my social media if I would let her. That'd be pretty hilarious. Minnie would do good at social media. Minnie's always sending me stuff. Jake met Minnie, just so you guys know, when we were in Colorado, we all hung out. But Minnie is always on everything. She sends me YouTube videos. She sends me all kinds of questions. Minnie has her pulse on Nebraska football like I do. And I think she needs her own Nebraska football channel. Guys, put in the chat right now if you guys would want me to bring Minnie on for a show. I think Minnie would do well talking on camera. If you guys want to see Minnie talk one day, though, we can bring her on. I think it'd be interesting. She said she doesn't want to do it, but she would do it if I told her to. I promise you that. Minnie's like a diehard member of the Corn Craze Army. She's been here since the beginning. Jake, what's the score? Let me see. Hold on. Where's my scores? I wanted to see the score of Purdue and Wisconsin.
I think it just came back from halftime.
Okay, so still just 21-3. Kind of a joke. I wanted to be able to get off the stream tonight and go and watch that and be entertained by some Big Ten football, but I guess I'm just going to go watch Virginia, North Carolina State. That one looks like that's going to be decently close. Another game on tonight is Air Force and San Jose State. Hey, it's something to watch. Harvard is playing Brown. I don't know if I'll be able to turn that one on. That's probably
The Nerd Bowl.
Yeah, I can't be watching that. But
Hmm.
Michael says Purdue's awful play on defense is making Wisconsin look way better than they are. I think the beautiful part about that is it gives me more hope that Nebraska has a chance. What do you think, Jake? Say Nebraska wins tomorrow. They're 2-2. They play Michigan. Let's just assume they lose to Michigan by 13 points. Okay, I think that's reasonable. All right. They have a really favorable schedule on the back end. Can Nebraska compete for a Big Ten West championship this year? You're as unbiased as they come because you're a Nebraska fan-ish, but you're not a fan.
I like Nebraska. I root for Nebraska. I watch them, mostly because of our friendship and our talks. But I think that Nebraska certainly has a shot at the Big Ten West championship just because of how weak everyone else is. I mean, let's not forget the Minnesota game. Nebraska basically dominated the entire game for 57, 58 minutes until they made a crucial mistake at the end. Jeff Sims turning the ball over, Anthony Grant turning the ball over. So they should have won that game. I think as long as their defense is playing at black shirt level and playing how they played so far this season, they'll be competitive with anyone. And it's up to the offense to be able to go out and put points on the board and maybe going out and making a couple of plays or two to go and win games.
That's the thing. Does Nebraska have the offense that can win a game? What do you think? As it stands now, no, probably not.
Yeah, so far we haven't seen it, and it's going to be tough with Gabe Ervin and Ramir Johnson out. It's time for someone to step up, and it's going to have to be someone at the quarterback position, either Harburg or Sims. I still think that Sims offers more upside, as you said. I mean, his running skills are just elite. The guy is a great athlete, 6'4", 220, super fast. I would love to see Nebraska calling more option plays, more design runs, more reads, and try to confuse defenses and get them out into space.
I wonder if they're running more zone read or more option plays, if defenses will key in on that and then dominate them and Nebraska won't be able to get a pass game going, or I don't know what their thought is, why they won't just commit to the run fully. I want to understand the mind of Marcus Satterfield, because there are some times when he calls some odd plays and he'll call them back to back to back. Like he called 3 pass plays in a row against Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota. Whatever. He called 3 back-to-back passes when he should have ran it because they were having run success before. So I want to understand what the play calling strategy is there. I had Chancellor Brewington on my channel one day, and he gave some great breakdowns since he played at Nebraska, obviously, for 2 years. And he understands the offense since he played tight end. And he understands a little bit of the defense as well. He's super bright. So I think I need to bring him back on here and get him to break down why he thinks Nebraska is running some of the plays they're running and why their offense is looking the way it is and why they aren't fully committing to the option, since that is their strength right now.
Yeah, that was a great stream. Brington really knew his stuff. I was really impressed by how much he knew the X's and O's. And I think it's a testament to, it's like, you and I, we're fans first and foremost. We didn't play college football. We didn't play pro football. And these guys are just operating on such a different level in terms of like the player experience and what they're doing in terms of to contribute with the game. It's really fun to hear their perspective.
Right. Yeah, I played for 2 years in college. But I redshirted 1 year because I had a knee injury and then I couldn't play my second year because I was injured. So my football knowledge is there, but it's not as detailed as someone who played at Nebraska and who had coaches like he did. That's one thing about Nebraska. They've always had really good assistant coaches, even though not all of them were great at the same time. They didn't have the congruency that they have now, where you have, as far as position coaches, I think you've got some really good ones. Satterfield is still yet to be seen as an elite offensive coordinator since he hasn't had much success yet. He's played a lot of roles and he's had a lot of jobs, but he hasn't been elite anywhere. Tony White is freaking awesome. So interesting. Jake, I don't know what's going to happen this week. My bad. You there? There we go.
I'm still here.
I said, I don't know what's going to happen this week. It's interesting because so much about this week is going to tell us about how the rest of the season will go. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best out of Sims, because I do think Sims is the answer if Nebraska wants to get to that 6+ win mark.
Yeah, and they played great last week at home, so hopefully being at Memorial Stadium is going to give them an extra boost and boost their confidence even higher this week.
So, what are the 3 things you're watching for from Nebraska this week? I already gave mine. I did my whole prediction and preview. But what are you watching for in this game?
Number 1 is running, or I'll go in reverse. Number 3 is running back depth. I want to see how Emmett Johnson and these other walk-on freshman guys play. Is anyone going to stand out, be a star? This is their chance. This is their opportunity. I want to see who's going to step up and take it. Number 2 is going to be the defense. Just want to continue to see them dominating and you see the black shirts going out. I don't want to see that last second touchdown given up like they did last week. No touchdowns given up. They're shut out if we can. And of course, number 1, quarterback position. Got to be able to hold on to the ball. Who's going to make the play? Who's going to look good in the run game? Is Sims going to be healthy? I mean, we saw him after the Colorado game. He was limping pretty fiercely. A high ankle sprain a lot of times is a 3 to 4 week injury. So I want to see that, the number 1 play from the quarterback, limiting turnovers, making plays in that order.
Okay. I want you to rank your top 3 games you're going to watch this weekend.
Number 3 is going to be, I think, Florida State Clemson.
Okay.
I think Florida State's a legitimate championship contending team. Clemson, I want to see what they've got. I don't think that they're as bad as being unranked as they currently are right now. And a close spread at home. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. Number 2, Colorado and Oregon. I mean, how can you not see? Want to see what Deion's done? I think that's going to be a shootout type game, probably the most entertaining game. But number 1 is going to be Ohio State and Notre Dame. I think it's going to be the most competitive game. These are 2 teams who could both feasibly make the college football playoffs. I'm really excited for that one.
I think my 3 would be Alabama. I think my 2 would be Colorado, and my 1 will be Ohio State. My always 1 is Nebraska. But while I watch Nebraska, just so you guys get a visual, I have a TV to my right, so I watch the game on the TV, the Nebraska game with the audio on. Then I've got my laptop set up in front of me, and I'll put the Colorado game on there on mute. Then I got my phone with another game, whichever other game I'm betting on. So I've got 3 games I'm watching all at once, and then I make sure I take notes on the Nebraska game because I got to stream right after it. But Mike says he's curious if Matt Rule will play both QBs to see who will play against Michigan. Well, the answer is he's going to play both QBs. We know that for a fact. Will he be playing both to see who the starter is? Like, is this a QB competition game? I don't think so. However, if Sims does not perform at the level that we need him to, this could be the opportunity for Harburg to step in and take the role. But I don't think it's a QB competition on Saturday. Josh wants to know, will there be any receivers who hit 500 yards this year? Man, it's so interesting how they diversify the receptions, right? How they divvy them up. As of now, I would assume you're going to get Kemp to 500 if Nebraska's playing in some tight games and he can get, 50 yards a game. But it's going to be tight. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's crazy to think that there could potentially not be a 500-yard receiver at Nebraska. They just had Samari Toure and Trey Palmer. I think Samari hit 1,000, right? Samari hit 1,000. Trey Palmer obviously went over 1,000. So you had back-to-back 1,000-yard receivers. The offense, man. Bring back Scott Frost. No, that's a joke. I don't want to bring back Scott Frost, but he was good on offense at times.
Bring back Xavier Betts. That's what they do.
At times. Bring back Xavier Betts. I don't know. I don't know that Xavier Betts would have been good. I think my take on Xavier Betts, or my final take, was if he doesn't want to, or if he doesn't have the passion to be a receiver at Nebraska, then what's the point in trying to force him into a role he doesn't want to play? He's not going to exceed the
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But if he were to come back and say, I want to be on the team, I'm ready to try hard, I think Rule would let him because they're so.
Well, I don't know about it anymore. I think he's already quit twice. I think
he burned his one shot.
Yeah, I think Rule would say, okay, dude, you've got some other issues to work out. We're not going down this road again. We already went down it with Reed Gilbert, who had some mental things. Not that Xavier has mental things, but Xavier doesn't want to fully commit to the football side of things. Then you got to let him go do his own deal. Let him go and
I think there's a slight difference between what Eric Gilbert did and what Xavier.
Well, he's got Reed has some mental issues. The dude twice robbed stores for like $1,000 worth of vapes. There's major mental health issues going on there. Poor guy, is what it is. Josh says he's ready for Coleman to stomp some people. And that's kind of the point. You want to see Coleman get in and see someone get developed. Wait, I've got to go from screen share to Discord, but this isolates it. CTB, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's good, man? How's it going?
This is going good. How you doing?
Oh, what can I say? I'm living the dream.
Okay, you're watching the stream, so it's always a good day when you're watching the stream, huh?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm like dual watching like you and Change the Brewington.
Really? What's Chance talking about?
Oh, he's just doing like a Q&A. He did it last night, too.
I saw he posted
Great
a
guy.
video up, and on the
Yeah.
video, he said he was doing like story time. So I was like, oh, after I do my stream,
Yeah.
maybe I should go watch his story time.
You should. It's a great video. I mean, it was it provided a lot of like, stuff I haven't heard before, but you might have, about like what it was like after Frost got fired.
Oh,
and
yeah?
such.
Yeah, it's all
I
interesting.
actually listened to that when I was like mowing the lawn. Honestly, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Some
Nice.
juicy info there. I was very impressed what he had to say on Connor's show about how Frost handled his firing. It was very classy how Frost handled it, at least to the players.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah, he was
one of the good things he did.
He was a respectable guy, even though there were a lot of rumors about him. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on tomorrow?
On tomorrow? Dude, I'm actually going tomorrow, man. Like, I want a ticket somewhere. And, it's going to be my first game since, like, No, I went to the Wisconsin game last year. I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you win the ticket?
So there's this YouTuber named Big Red Jeff or
Mhm.
something like that.
Big Red
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, man. It's like, no, Big Red Country with Jeff. He's a great guy.
Oh, Big Red
He-
Country with Jeff. I know him.
Yeah. Yeah, so I won one of those tickets because
Dude, that's
I'm a proud
awesome.
member. Yeah, dude, I know. He's a great guy.
Congratulations.
Like, I offered to like pay for it, dude, because like I really want to like.
No, dude, if it was a giveaway, he wants to give it away. Trust me. You don't
Yeah,
want to
but
if people are giving stuff away, they don't want you to pay for it. They want you to enjoy it. So that's great that you won
Yeah,
it.
well.
So you went to the Wisconsin game, the one I went to?
Yeah, I didn't know. So me and my friend actually went. His name is Jasper. We were looking for you, bro. We were trying to triangulate your location with like. I think someone actually did that. Like,
Yeah,
with your
someone
Instagram
did.
post.
Someone did do it.
Yeah, we
A
were
couple
like
did.
we were sitting like kind of by you, but like not like close.
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't come to my
And
meetup afterwards?
I didn't, because like
Okay.
we had to go. We had like stuff to do,
No,
unfortunately.
I get it. I get it.
But yeah,
Okay, so what do you
dude,
think? What do you think's gonna happen this weekend?
this weekend, like, you want like a score prediction or like just like generality? Like,
Whatever you want to give me.
dude, honestly, I think. Well, who do you think's like? What's the quarterback situation look like? Because like that's kind of important. Like,
Quarterback situation,
like-
what's going to look like? I think we're going to see two quarterbacks go. I think it's going to start off with Jeff Sims, and then I think at certain times Heinrich's going to come back in. I don't think they're going to play like first half starter, second half starter. I think they'll
Yeah.
alternate series. I just don't know if it'll be 2 series for Sims, 2 for Heinrich, or how it'll go. But I do think they're both going to get significant role.
yeah, well, that's good. I mean, I hope so. And man, this is tough. I've never made a score prediction before.
Okay, well, it's time now.
Yeah, exactly. I think if the defense can play it up to the level they have been playing and
Mhm.
like defend the pass and get a few takeaways, I think they'll score like 10 points, about.
Okay.
And if the offense can score like, oh man, like 27 points, I think that's realistic. Like, I don't really know much about like
27
Louisiana Tech.
27. Okay, well, take away what you don't know about Louisiana Tech, and let's talk about what you do know about Nebraska. How do you think Nebraska gets to 27 points? Do you think that they're going to run the ball? Do you think they're going to throw it? What's your
Oh, yeah.
prediction?
So I think we're gonna try to throw the ball some more, hopefully, but like I think we're gonna get most of our yards like on the ground with like the running backs and obviously like quarterback. Like the read option last week was crazy.
Okay, so that's a question. Do you think Nebraska's going to run more option this week? Do you think they're going to try and run it straight downhill with QB power, or run inside zone with Grant? How do you think they're going to do it?
I think we're gonna run inside zone with Grant. I think that's the
Just
best
run it
chance that we
straight
have.
downhill.
Exactly. I think if we can get the blocks up front, we can definitely make that work.
Did
But
you
if
notice?
the-
Did you notice last week how they had some really good blocks from Lindenmeyer and from
Yes.
Liebentritt, and those guys were clearing out pathways for Grant?
Yes.
I think if they can get more of that going on, then the number one thing is Grant's going to be able to be as effective as we saw him in the first 3 games of the year last year. Because as
Yes.
the season went on, he wore down and he was not as productive. But part of that's because he was doing way too much. He would hit the hole and he'd have to dance around in there and try to find something because the line wasn't blocking for him.
Exactly. So, I think Grant's great. I just think, we can't like play him too much, because that's what happened last year. Like I think we need Emmett Johnson to like go crazy, you know what I mean?
I heard that Quentin Ives might play before Emmett Johnson plays. Like Emmett Johnson might be a
Really?
true Ramir Johnson type of back, more blocking, more third down, more receiving back, and Quentin Ives might be the bigger body that they want to throw in there to complement Grant. I don't know. Something I heard, maybe true, maybe not, but
Well, I mean, I just hope that whoever's number 2 is like gonna go crazy. I hope everyone goes crazy. Cause like we need to like get ready for Michigan. Cause like I want that to be like very competitive,
I think no
at
matter
least.
what, because the defense is so good, it's going to be competitive to some degree.
I think
Yeah,
I
but
think all
like
the running backs need to get carries. Even if there's a walk on who looks good, give him
Get
one or two.
they
Just
need to
like
get
exactly.
four. They need to
see who
get
can
four
break a play.
guys. I think if you could get four guys like carries, it'll help because this is the game that you have to get your final kinks out before the Big Ten play
Right.
starts. So you'll know what
Exactly.
you've
You
got.
don't want to be figuring out which is your backup running back against Michigan next week. It's not
Yeah.
going to work out well.
That's a good point. Yeah, Max
Yeah.
says he thinks Ives will be the running back too as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hope Rule does what he preaches and plays whoever's best. I don't think freshman like class, I don't think that should matter. I just think that Rule should play whoever's gonna give him the best chance to win. Exactly what he's been preaching.
Well, the good news is I think that's what he's got to do because he's kind of in desperation mode right now to get some of these wins.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm excited for it tomorrow. I'll be looking for you on
Yeah, so
TV.
much. Oh man, thanks.
All
Dude.
right. You got anything else?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Actually, when I was looking for you last year, bro, that was when I like memorized your intro. Like I don't know if you remember. Yeah, I'm the guy who memorized your entire intro.
Oh, can you say my intro?
Yeah. What's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss any of the content I drop. And if you want to and then you like say something about like a new video that might drop, and
Dude,
like
you know it by heart.
yeah, help us get to 1,000. Anyways, let's get into it.
Damn, you
And
watched a
then
lot of the videos, huh?
oh yeah,
I like
like I
that.
watch it within like 10 minutes, dude.
When I post it, you're one of the first watchers, first viewers.
Yeah, I don't like comment because like I just don't think I have much to add. But like,
Did you
Dude.
watch it at 3 a.m. last night?
did I? No, I was sleeping.
Okay, no, okay. Well, you could at least throw a comment for the algorithm. Just put a little emoji in there. And
I
I
got
think you do have a lot to add. This is what I think is so interesting. I think all of us have something to add. All of us have an opinion. No one's right. No one's wrong. I mean, you're wrong if you say a fact the wrong way, right? But if you're just giving an opinion or a take, it's not like I'm an expert. I'm just a fan like everybody else in this chat. I'm just a fan like you who gives my opinion. That's all it is,
Yeah.
So don't look at it as you're wrong. You know just as much as the rest of us do.
Oh, thanks, man. Dude, I gotta buy some merch. Thanks for reminding me.
Dude, go get yourself some stickers.
Stickers? Nah, I don't need stickers.
No, trust me, the
I need a
stickers are
hoodie.
hard. The stickers are hard. I promise.
Where am I gonna put the stickers?
Laptop, whatever other
I don't.
stuff you got, trust me, they're hard.
Backpack,
Not your you'll
social
put stickers
security
on
card.
you
Why don't
don't
you put
put
them anywhere?
you don't put stickers on a backpack, Jake. Come on. No, but the stickers I promise you they are
I mean,
hard.
you can like kind of put it on a backpack. I don't think it like works well, but like
I don't think it would
you
work
kind
well.
of can.
Water bottle.
I don't know.
Wristband,
All right, well
socks, dude. That's crazy.
I got two more calls to take. So
Yeah,
thank you for coming in. I'll talk to you soon.
yeah. See you later, man.
Later, bro. All right, Lit NFL. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yo, yo.
Oh man, I can't.
What happened? What
He
happened?
disconnected. Looks like he was connected through Xbox, maybe.
He
so maybe
was.
that's an issue with
Here,
audio.
NFL Quick Talk. Can you hear me? Quick Talk. Can you hear me? What happened?
Back in the wait
Try it
room.
one more
There it
time.
is.
Quick Talk. Can you hear me? Something going on with your audio. I'm gonna boot you for a minute while you figure out your audio. Daniel, can you hear me? Daniel,
Hey, Connor, what's going on, man?
nothing much. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. I'm just chilling at my house. So I had a question.
Yeah.
So seems like seems like the issue that's headlined, I guess that's the best way to put it for Jeff Sims is, the snaps he fumbled and everything.
Mhm.
But another thing I don't think we can ignore is like he had all the turnovers at Georgia Tech and he still threw 3 interceptions at Minnesota. How much do you think like do you think there's a true QB battle or do you think do you still think Jeff Sims should be the QB1 or because just seems like Harburg should have the starting spot at this point. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So I think you and thousands of other people think the same way in terms of they think Harburg needs to have the starting spot. I originally thought we need to bench Sims and give Harburg a chance, not because I thought Sims was a bad QB, but because I think we needed to see what was behind Sims and if there was another option, right? I think that we should defer to what the coaches think because the coaches see more than any of us see.
Do you still think Jeff Sims should be
What's happening? I'm getting an echo. Can you mute yourself? Because I'm getting an echo.
Yeah, sorry. Go
You're
ahead.
good. You're good. So anyway, I think these coaches know more than any of us know. So if the coaches know more than we know and they really want to get Jeff Sims out there, then they probably realize the upside is too great to keep him off the field. Now, as fans, Nebraska fans at least, we have not gotten a chance to see his upside. All we've seen is downside. So out of frustration, we get on our pitchforks and we get on Twitter and we say, yo, put Heinrich in. Well, now they're saying, look, we did put Heinrich in. We're happy with what Heinrich did, but Sims is still the number one for a reason, right? So I defer to the coaches in this situation. I think you go with their gut because they know best. And if they want to play Sims, play him. And I'll be supportive of that decision. But if Sims continues to have the same issues we've seen over and over, you have to bench him and you have to move on to someone who's going to be more consistent in the ball handling department. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't think that there's really a QB battle. I don't think Harburg can go out and win the job. I think Sims can only lose the job. I think if you a lot of times these situations, you can look at like Alabama. Jalen Milroe was their quarterback. Everyone before the season was like, yeah, Jalen Milroe's not that good. Maybe they should go with these other guys. They went through all training camp. Saban's like, nope, Milroe's our guy. Guess what? He goes out, he doesn't play that well. They listen to the fans. They put in Tyler Buckner. And he's so bad, he stunk the place up. He was benched at halftime and Milroe's starting again. So I think that generally is the case for most college programs. The coaches know who's best. They see all these guys throwing hundreds of thousands of passes a week. And from what it just seems like Sims is Rule's guy. And I just don't know if anything Harburg can do besides Sims losing the job to actually go out and gain it at this point.
I don't want to get hung up on the term Rule's guy because that's kind of like implying kind of the Frost and Martinez situation where Frost, to a fault early on, wouldn't bench Martinez, right? In our eyes, at least. We later found out why he wouldn't, but it felt like it was a his guy issue. You wanted to see other guys, the best player, for example, get a chance. I don't think he feels like Sims is my guy, so I have to play him. He feels like Sims is the best option Nebraska has, and that's why we have to play him. So that's my takeaway from what's going on right now in the QB room. I mean, like I said, I defer to coaches who are making millions of dollars and who watch a lot more film than we do. We only get to see a few practice clips and we get to see one game on Saturday. He gets to be with these guys all the time and understands their upside. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's just, it's easier to say, let's start Harburg because recently he was the one who was more successful. But it was easier to say that same thing about Luke McCaffrey back in 2020 when he beat Penn State. The very next week, he got worked by Illinois. And that wasn't a good Illinois. That was a Lovie Smith Illinois.
And I can attest as an Indiana fan, we were always constantly calling for the backup quarterbacks because our starting quarterbacks couldn't get the job done. And the backups weren't much better. I mean, there's a reason that the saying the most popular player on the team and from the fans is always the backup quarterback is a thing. Because you got potential, you got hope when you don't know what they can bring to the table. And Harburgers look good, don't get me wrong, but Sims I still think offers the most upside.
That's my takeaway.
All right, yeah, you got me there. So appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do. So
yeah. Well, thank you for calling in. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Later. All right, quick talk. Can you hear me? Quick talk, test. can't hear you. No, I hear you, but it's scratchy. I'm gonna let you still try to figure it out. Lit NFL. Oh, he disconnected. Oh, oh. One more test. There we go. I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Talk, talk. We're so damn
You're on
close.
Corn Crade Live. Corn Crade's Live. Quick talk.
We're so damn close. I hear you, and then you don't talk. And I'll hear you again. All right, I'm going to test someone else. All right. See if we can bring D in. All right, D, can you hear me? D, test, test. D, I gave you a chance, but you're not
DJ, unmute yourself.
doing it. Okay. Who's next? Smoking Cactus.
Hey, what's up?
There we go. We finally got one. What's happening?
Not much. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great. It's a Friday night
Having a
before
fun
a
Friday.
huge football weekend, so it's only positive.
Absolutely. So my question, I just want to keep it quick and short, because you do it every week. What's your prediction on sacks this week?
My prediction on sacks. Well, you have a Louisiana Tech team who's going to drop back to passes a few times. I don't think their quarterback's as sloppy as Rocky Lombardi. What did Nebraska finish with last week? 3?
Yeah, 3.
I think Nebraska can get 3 again. I really want Nash Hutmacher to get one selfishly because I like my $100 tips for every Nash Hutmacher sack, right? But I want to see Ty Robinson get one because I don't know how many Ty Robinson has on the year. It's not. I don't think he has one. Maybe he has half.
Yeah,
but
Ty's.
I
Sorry.
want to see him get in the mix.
Yeah, I think Ty's kind of been really quiet this year when everybody thought he was going to be a lot better or the big guy on D up front this year in Nash. And I even said this at the beginning here, Nash was going to be that guy.
You called it?
Oh, yeah. I knew Nash was. I knew his cousin. Sorry.
You're good. See, I didn't have that projection for Nash. I thought Nash would be more improved, but I didn't know Nash was going to be as solid as he's been. He's been Nebraska's best defensive lineman, and statistically speaking, he's by far the best.
Right. And I mean, like I said, I knew his cousin. I talked to his cousin a lot back when he was in high school and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was waiting for him to come out. I just don't think like in the previous coaching staff he really shined, and I know that was a big question coming into this year, but I was holding out for Nash. I think you slowly gotten a lot better over the last couple of years, and I think it's only going to get even better, especially if White stays around.
That's for sure. How long do you think White stays around?
Ooh, God, I hope he stays around for at least another year after this year.
Okay, well, I feel really good about at least 2 years. I think the question is if Nebraska finishes in the top 40 for defense this season and they finish in the top 30 for defense next season, and I think that's attainable since they might return 7 or 8 starters, and it doesn't even matter how many starters they return, how many total defenders do they return, and it's going to be like 15 of their rotators or more. So let's say they make a jump next year. So top 40 finish, top 30 finish. He's going to get some offers from some big schools, and he's going to get some opportunities to go coach at some smaller ones as a head coach. So, stressful.
Yeah.
Might have to be looking for a new one.
Yeah, I think if we keep it up and, like I said, get into next year and we're just as good or even better, yeah, I think he's going to be gone and we'll be looking for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him being similar to Ryan Walters from Illinois last year, having one big season and getting a head coaching job somewhere. So if Nebraska keeps up this level of defensive play, there'll be some schools that want to hire him as head coach.
That's the fear, right? Because Nebraska might be able to afford him, and they might be able to hold him back from being a DC at a different place. But
Right.
like if Ohio State comes calling, they might be able to match it. But if they say you're going to be a head coach, it's like, ooh, that's an offer he won't be able to turn down.
I agree.
Right. Like, let's say Lance Leipold gets scooped by anyone else, and Kansas is like, hey, we want you to be our head coach. It's going to be tough for Nebraska to be able to keep him at that point.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. He's going to be a head coach somewhere, so that won't be an option. But yeah, I'm going to predict 3 sacks this week. I only say 3 because I think that they have a plan to get the ball out quickly, and I think that Louisiana Tech's going to run it quite a bit. That's my take.
I'm going with 4.
4?
4.
Well, I'd love to see 4. You know, I want to see as many as possible because I want them to be number 1 in the country in sacks. That would just be such a statement, and at least it'd be something to hang our hat on because there are so many negatives and so many rough stat lines out there for us. So at least give us one number 1 or number 2 ranking.
Right.
Where will you be
Looks like
watching?
Purdue-
I wonder if Nebraska will be hesitant on defense to go with any sort of like exotic rushes or kind of crazy blitz packages because they don't want to put that on film before the Big Ten season in a game that they think is probably winnable without it.
Yeah, they might not throw the whole book at them. I agree with that, but they don't need to. They're going to be able to overpower this offensive line. There's no way that they
Right.
match up, right? So you don't need to throw in 6 guys on the rush. You can throw in 4 like they normally are and still get to the quarterback. And this guy isn't as mobile. He's nowhere near as mobile as the last 3, even though
Right.
Lombardi was just
That's
sloppy.
why. That's why I'm going with 4.
I like it. Where are you going to watch the game from tomorrow?
My living room,
Nice. Where do you live?
Kansas City.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, Purdue just scored again too. If you didn't see that.
They scored?
Yeah.
At least they're keeping it somewhat close. You know, I got a teaser with Purdue plus 19, so I'm hoping they don't lose by more than 19.
Well, they're only down 10 now at the beginning of the fourth quarter. A backdoor cover is still in play. If they can ever get one freaking stop.
There's still hope. Well, I just want Purdue to keep it close enough and to be competitive enough so I know they can knock somebody else off this year.
And by the way, here's another great sign for Nebraska. Wisconsin not dominating in the second half. They're letting a terrible Purdue team now come back a little bit.
Exactly. Well, I want a team like Purdue to be able to knock off an Iowa this year, a Minnesota, level off these wins, make it so that every team's looking like they're 500 so anybody can win the conference. Give us a chance.
Yeah. Speaking of the conference, Nebraska still does. I agree. Have a legit chance of winning the West with our defense. I mean, I made the reference to look at how Iowa in the past has kind of done it. Great D, terrible O.
Dude, Nebraska's
And-
offense, there's no way they're going to rank as bad as Iowa. Iowa in the past has been in the top or in the bottom 5 nationally multiple years, and they still are able to win the West and get to 9 wins. So if they could do it, so can we.
Exactly.
I think worst case, Nebraska's going to finish with a bottom 40 offense this year, like in the 90 range. I don't think they're going to get into the hundreds. I think they're going to figure out their path and they're going to get a little bit more consistent once they stop with the turnovers, and there's going to be a little bit of balance. So hopefully.
I agree.
All right. Well,
All right. I'll let one of these other guys get in. So thanks for bringing me in here, and always enjoy.
thanks for watching and thanks for calling in. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Bye. All right, D, can you hear me? Test, test. Unmute yourself.
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, let me turn your audio down a sec. Okay, talk again.
We can hear DJ.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm here.
perfect. What's happening?
Well, I'm joining very late, so I'm sorry ahead of time if I bring up anything you've already
No,
talked
no,
about.
bring up whatever you want. We've been here for an hour and 30 minutes, so people haven't heard it all.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, as a student on campus, the vibe at UNL, it's feeling a little bit better after that game last week. You know, in the middle of class, if I'm getting bored, I'll be looking at Twitter and I'll be seeing stuff about fans being like, oh, we're gonna boo Jeff Sims if he comes out.
That's what they say?
Yeah, and I'm
You
just
and I
like,
follow different people on Twitter. I see a lot more positivity.
Well, let me tell you something, man. Jeff Sims, he's a good athlete. He is. He's got it in him. You know this, Connor. And I'm sorry, you're an Indiana fan. I don't know your name.
It's
Tell me
Jake.
your name.
I'm Jake.
Jake.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I'll tell you what though. I think Jeff Sims has a wide open opportunity to make a huge comeback and shock everyone. Wide open opportunity. Think about how much pressure this kid probably has on him. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then the other thing I also wanted to bring up, Connor, was the running back room, which I'm sure you're well aware of. I feel horrible for Gabe Irving because I literally saw this kid on campus on crutches, struggling to get in the College of Business, and I'm just like, it's always us. It's always us. It's always Nebraska. One of our best players always has to get hurt. Now, there's nothing no one can do about it. But the real question is can Anthony Grant live up to the moment? Can Anthony Grant live up to the moment? Can he redeem himself as well? We got two big time players who have a wide open opportunity against Louisiana Tech and Michigan the next week to have a wide open opportunity to redeem themselves. How are you feeling about that, Connor?
Well, here's the situation with Anthony Grant. He only has to redeem himself in terms of don't fumble the ball. So as long as he carries it, holds it high and tight, he's good to go. I'm not as worried about not as worried about Anthony Grant. When we're talking about Jeff Sims, it's a totally different situation. This guy has 2 games where he's turned it over 8 times, right? The expectation for him is so low. It's just don't turn it over. He could run for 75
It's not
yards.
even that. It's just catch the snap.
Yeah, it's catch. It's not even fumble. It's just catch the snap. That's it. So as long as he catches the snap, he can throw an interception. He can only rush for 75 and only pass for 125. And that's a totally acceptable game. It's a win for him. Nebraska fans will be proud of his play. So the bar is so damn low for him. He should be able to hit that metric. Don't drop the snap. And we're good to go. I've watched Pat Mahomes have a snap go over his head. He one-hands it, pulls it down, and throws a 30-yard pass right after. I've watched other quarterbacks. Snap goes far left. They reach down to the ground, grab it, pick it up, run for 25 yards. I mean, if you're
We've
focused...
seen Sims have that ability. In the first game of the season,
Oh.
he dropped his snap, picked it up, threw a touchdown on the run.
Yeah, they have the ability to do
Yeah.
all this, right? It's not that he doesn't have the athletic ability. It's all about his mental. So as long as he's focused and locked in enough, then the ceiling is so low for him that his athletic ability will will him to obviously over exceeding. So yeah, I'm not worried about him as long as he does the basics, or corrects the basics and plays the game the right way. Looks like a Nebraska quarterback should look, right?
So last thing I wanted to add, so other people have a chance to talk. So I feel like I know this is Louisiana Tech preview, not Michigan preview, but I would like to put something out there regarding Michigan.
Yeah.
I think that depending on what happens against Louisiana Tech could be a very telling sign of what to expect against Michigan in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because, it's likely we're going to be seeing 2 quarterbacks rotating in and out. So I'm feeling like whoever plays better in that game or plays the best is probably going to get the nod for Michigan. And that's good. That game's going to be a big deal. They're going to be a top 5 team coming into Lincoln.
Top
we have
2.
Not had an opportunity. Top 2. We have not had an opportunity like that since, tell me, 2019?
Oh, it's been a long time since the number 2 team came in. I don't even know what Ohio State was ranked in 2019. They were probably top 5. Maybe, I don't know. I can tell you right now, actually.
What was Michigan ranked when they played last time at Memorial Stadium when Nebraska should have won that game?
7 or something. I don't know.
I believe they were number 9 in the AP ranking.
There you go, number 9. Here, I'll tell you. Ohio State 2019 was ranked. Actually, they're ranked 3. There you go. So, yeah, since 2019, we haven't had this. Oh, they were ranked 5. Either way, yeah, we haven't had the number 2 team come in a long time.
So, I'm thinking that whoever's got the skill, they're gonna get the nod for next week. But appreciate your time, Connor. Thank you.
That's a good point. All right, well, thanks for calling in, DJ. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, Lit NFL. Can we get you this time? Does your mic work? Test.
Hello?
Finally, there we go.
There we go. It works. What's happening?
It was good. I don't know what happened last time, but I don't know, something happened.
It's all good.
Yep.
What's up?
Nothing much. Just listen to you and listen on your takes and everybody else's takes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good commentary in the chat. I've been watching as much as I can. Jake and I have been talking about this, not this week, but we've been talking about the last couple weeks for Nebraska over, the phone for, hours on end, talking about what all the hypotheticals are and what all the situations are. So it's good to hear what other people have to think because we go so into detail and talk about it, and I want to get other people's opinions.
Right. Well, my opinion is that I love Jeff Sims. I'm one of those guys that really likes Jeff Sims. I like the way he played at Georgia Tech Georgia Tech, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know he's fumbled a lot. I get a lot of hate for liking him, and I don't know, just something to him is just kind of, I don't know. It's just something about him just makes me really want to see him play.
Is it because you like how he looks physically like he looks like he could be an NFL quarterback. He's 6'4", 230 or whatever he is, and he runs a 4.5. Is that what it is? You think like because he's such a freak athlete, he could do damage?
I mean, well, yes, but I mean, it's just, I mean, plays that he has done right has looked really good. Like, like big run plays, or like a really good pass, like shot to the sideline that's just perfect or something. It's just, I don't know. I feel like if he could fix up the fumbles, I think he could be really good.
Well, you're gonna get a chance to see this week. I'm not sure how soon he's gonna come in. I don't know if that's gonna be a like opening drive kind of deal, or if he'll come in, I don't know, third quarter. But he's gonna get his chances. Do you
Yeah, I
do you,
mean,
do you
as long
what
as
do you
he gets
think?
to play in Memorial,
What
I
do you
mean,
think
he
the
hasn't
leash
played
is
home
for
yet.
him? How many whiffs can he have before he gets benched?
Um, well, let's say he starts this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he loses this game. That's when I'm like, that's too far. And let's say the fumbles keep happening at your own place.
Well, let's no.
I
Don't
think.
don't say. Let's get very specific, okay? I want you to visualize this as a Jeff
All right.
Sims fan, okay? I'm gonna
Mhm.
The
give you.
fumbles happening as a non-starter because if those happen, he's
Yeah.
done anyways.
Yeah, it's a non-starter. So
Yeah.
here's the situation. Jeff Sims comes out, second drive of the game. Third drive of the game. First two drives, Nebraska has kicked one field goal. Heinrich has struggled to move the ball. Teams now know how to key on him because they have film, okay? They send Jeff
Mhm.
in. Jeff leads a drive. They get up to the 35-yard line, going towards the red zone, and Jeff Sims fumbles a handoff. Do you think Jeff Sims gets benched? Do you think Jeff Sims should play after that?
Um, I mean, you gave Harbaugh 2 drives, so you got to give him one more drive.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
now Jeff Sims goes back in. Jeff Sims drives the field. It results in a punt. Okay,
mhm,
are you
right.
still as optimistic about Sims, or are you starting to have questions about Sims? I'm just curious from
Questions.
your take. Okay,
I,
so
I would have questions at that point.
if Sims isn't leading a touchdown drive 1 out of 2 times on Louisiana Tech, and if he does fumble on one of those drives, then we start to have questions. At that point, would you say maybe we got to go back to Harburg?
Uh, well, if Harburg can't get it done and
But
Sims can't
Harburg's
get
not
it
turning it
done,
over. Harburg's not turning it
Because
over.
here's the thing: Sims will always be more talented and have higher upside than
Mhm.
Harburg. That will never change.
Right.
So if you're waiting for him to be like, well, we have to keep giving him chances because if both guys are playing at their best, Sims will be better. Well, yes, that will never change. So it's all about like how much are we willing to let him go get away with? How much of a leash we want to give him? How many possessions and games are we going to give away before we determine that he just can't get it done?
That's the big question. What's the leash?
I mean, I think he just needs to play a home game and see how it goes.
And
Like
you think
that.
it'll solve? You think if he just plays at home, he's more comfortable, he'll be more confident. You think that solves the issue?
No, I don't think it solves the issue. Well, I mean, it could, but I mean, he played 2 difficult games and he fumbled a lot.
Yeah.
But if if he plays tomorrow, I mean, he can learn that offense. Just in a quiet stadium that's on his side. I mean, he really. I mean, one game could really. I mean, can change a lot.
Okay.
I mean, you
So
never
Yeah,
know.
but he's never gonna. Every single road game is not gonna be a quiet stadium where the fans are on his side. He's gonna be in plenty of environments that are just as loud as Colorado and TCU, or especially playing in the Big Ten. I mean, we were at that Colorado game, and from everything that we were saying, they were like the fans have never gotten crazier for a game, and that was pretty mild for a Big Ten crowd. Like they were definitely getting up, and it was a great environment to be. But I've heard it be much louder at like over half the Big Ten stadiums.
I agree
Right,
with that.
but I mean, Sims will have more chemistry with the team, though. I mean, I don't know.
So
That's
what do
my
you? So
take
what's?
on it.
So give me your prediction then. What's your prediction for what's going to happen this week with Sims? Will Sims come in as a co-starter? Will he look better than he has all year? And will he be able to pull out a win and start against Michigan? Is that what you think is going to happen?
Um, yeah, I think he'll be ready to go, especially with him not playing last week. It just gives him a break, it just gives him a cool down to think, and you got to watch Harburg, how he played, and how it goes, right? I think I think he'll look better. I think he'll be more focused and ready to go. I do think if he does play well, he will start against Michigan. But I mean, if he doesn't play as expected, Harburg will start against Michigan, and he'll ride the bench for the rest of the season.
Well,
I guess.
the beauty is this week we're gonna learn a lot. So even though this is a weaker opponent, it's gonna be real interesting to see how it pans out. So if you can't get excited for this one, I don't know. I don't understand Nebraska fans. This is the one to look forward to the most. I'm as excited for this game as I am for the Minnesota game. There's that much riding on it.
Yeah, I mean, I get more pumped up for the defense. I mean, that's something that I really like to watch is the defense and how they do their thing. And then I can't wait to see Anthony Grant get runs in too. I mean, that's going to be great to see him play again and see what he can do. So, I mean, I'm excited for this weekend.
The good news on
Um,
both those fronts is we know what both them can do. So
Right. I mean,
we're
we
confident
know
about
what
those
they
groups.
can do, and we'll see tomorrow if they can, prove it again.
I like it. All right. Well, thank you for calling in.
All right. Thank you.
I'm gonna take
Thanks,
one
guys.
more caller before we get out of here. Get you out. But Jake, really quick, I got a question for you from Travis. He says, what exactly is Sims better at than Harburg? Can anyone honestly say?
Well, he's better at a lot of the intangibles, a lot of the stuff that you can't that Harvard just can't compete in terms of speed, size, athleticism, all of that. In terms of on the field play, I agree. I think Harvard probably looked better last week than Sims had looked either of his two games again as Nebraska's quarterback in terms of throwing the ball. But Sims' raw mechanics, his athleticism, you can see how based on his skill set, what he brings to the table, that if he's playing at his best, it's still better than what Harvard could bring at his best.
Yeah, I think Sims is a better passer than Harburg. I think that although he stares down receivers, he can probably get the ball deeper downfield more accurately. That's one thing. We know Harburg has a cannon, but how accurate is he when he gets past the 25, 20, or 30-yard passes? We saw him throw a really good one in the opening drive to Marcus Washington for 26 yards. But if we're pushing balls 40 yards downfield, I think you got to go with Sims. If you got to run a corner outside route that's got to be on the money, you probably got to go with Sims. Now, I think Harburg might read defenses better. I don't know this, but I think he might, based on the fact that he was tucking and running it, not throwing picks in that first game. There's still a lot left to learn about him. Also, I think Sims is a better runner than Harburg is. I think he's more fluid. I think he's a little bit faster, might be a little quicker. I think Harburg's heavier, bulkier. He's a bruiser. But in general, I would say these are the reasons that I would always think that the coaches would want to roll with Sims over Harburg, but who knows? We don't know what they see in practice. Connor says Harburg is not that much less athletic than Sims. I agree. He's barely less athletic, but Sims is really athletic. That's kind of the point. He's similar size, has just as good straight speed. Honestly, don't understand that take, bro. I don't think he does have as good straight speed. I think Sims probably runs a 4.5, and I think Harburg probably runs a 4.65. I think there's totally different when we're talking about straight line speed.
And Sims is a lot shiftier too. Harburg is going to go right at the guy and initiate contact. Sims is much more likely to break tackles and make moves.
I think that's true too. One guy tucks his head, runs straight downhill like a running back does, Harburg, and one guy's going to run more like a quarterback would run. I think they're both great players. I don't take anything away from Harburg. I think he's awesome.
And that's the thing that's frustrating fans a lot because both these guys have such big upside. Like you look at Sims and Harburg also has big upside. Like if Harburg comes out and he plays amazingly, he could easily be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
Right. And one of the things about Harburg is we don't know what he is. We don't know how high his ceiling is because we've only seen him play one game. So a lot of question marks still. Okay, I got one more caller. I can't see the full names on here, Jake. What's the name?
Mohana Maki.
Mohana, can you hear me?
Yo. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. What's happening?
What's up, Con? How you doing, my guy?
What's up? It's going great. How are you? Where are you at?
I'm doing good. You know, I actually just got off of work and I was
Perfect.
listening to this whole thing right when I was on work, just getting up.
Nice.
So what do you think? Oh, here, wait, really quick. Z Guy says Harburg has been clocked faster according to rule. Okay, I would love to see where that is. First off, I haven't heard him say that. Second, I watched both of these quarterbacks play. Sims looks faster to me than Harburg does. I don't know what to tell you. This is a personal eye viewing. I think Sims is faster than Harburg. Now it might be slightly faster, but I still think he's faster. I don't know. People love Harburg. I get it, and I love people are getting defensive of him. But there's a reason that the coaches want to play Sims. If Sims was slower than Harburg, if he couldn't throw as well as Harburg, if he was all these things that we think as fans that we've seen in one game are true, then Matt Rule, who wants to win games just as bad as any of us, would bench Sims' ass tomorrow. And Harburg would be starting.
Literally.
It's nonsense that people continue to say
Literally.
Harburg is better, he's faster, his ceiling's... I don't care. The coaches who are being paid $10 million a year know best. And I get it. I was one of those people who, when I first watched him, said, bench Sims' ass, keep Harburg on the field. We need him to start because that's an emotional reaction, and it's a reaction of, I want to win games. I don't want any more turnovers. And I think Harburg can be better than him. But the fact is, I've watched a very limited sample size. I've watched him play for, 30 minutes total time that he was on the field versus Sims, who was on the field for hours at Georgia Tech that we've analyzed film on, and the coaches have been with him for hours since he got to Lincoln. Keep in mind, I totally understand your position of why you defend Harburg and why you want Harburg and why you think Harburg might be better. And there's thousands of people who think this way, and I was one of them. But I'm wrapping my head around the fact that these coaches know something that we don't, just like they knew when Luke McCaffrey was going to play quarterback and then got demolished and Adrian Martinez had to come back in. Anyway, what's happening? You're getting done with work. You're calling into the Corn Craze show. What's up?
Man, you honestly preaching right now, my guy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I personally am a Jeff Sims guy. Right after I seen the game, I thought personally that Harburg did great. Yeah, but it was for the talent that was given to him. I mean, personally, I would want to see Harburg against a bigger team like Wisconsin or, like Iowa. But I personally, I personally think Jeff Sims has that experience where he has played against other big time schools before where like he could still improve and have a high ceiling with Nebraska and still be effective for our team.
That's fair. How about this comment? There's a comment that popped up. I want to know what you think about this. Phil says, had Harburg gotten all of the first team reps since spring, just like Sims did, I feel pretty comfortable in saying that we would be 3-0 or 2-1 at worst. Rule handpicked Sims and can't afford to be wrong about him. What do you think?
I mean, I believe Matt Rule handpicked Sims, like you said, for a reason. There's something that they've seen in practice that they that made them believe fully that Jeff Sims is the best quarterback for the team situationally for us to have us to win. Basically, is what I'm saying. Jeff Sims is Harburg's a great guy. Like, it's hard for me to like talk like this because I get knocked on constantly for saying Jeff Sims is the best quarterback that we can have right now. But it's refreshing to know that we have a backup quarterback that if we did give him those 1 reps, we could possibly still win with him. I mean, I don't think that he would have got the 1 reps whether Jeff Sims was there or not. I think there's still, I mean, if Jeff Sims never came, I think Logan Smothers would have never left, and I think Logan Smothers probably would be our
Casey
QB1 right now.
Casey Thompson would have never left either.
Oh, that's another thing. Oh, you right about that. I forgot about Casey because he got injured. But yeah, Casey Thompson honestly would be our number 1 right now. And personally, I don't think we would, with how Matt Rule wanted to run this team, I don't think we would be in any better place than where we are right now with or without Jeff Sims. Personally. That's personal.
I mean, I agree because it seems clear that Rule wants to have a more run-heavy scheme, especially from the quarterback position. And Casey ran like he had cinder blocks on all last season.
Exactly.
Okay, but I do think the statement or the comment that was made a minute ago that I read, I do believe it to be true. I do believe that had Harburg been in, Nebraska likely would not have lost both of those first games. I think they would have lost 1. Now, the question is, what we still have to learn and what's yet to be seen, is the quarterback handling issue a coaching issue or is it a Sims issue? And if they can get it corrected now that they know that's an issue, since they didn't have it all spring ball and all summer, we never heard about Sims turning it over like that. He had some interceptions, obviously, but he's playing against a great defensive backfield in practice, great secondary. If they now know what issues to address, is that something they can fix? And if it is something they can fix, then they can continue to go with the guy that they pegged as number one, who won the job outright during spring and during summer, and there shouldn't be an issue.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
I think that something with the quarterback situation, Jeff Sims, it's kind of hard to be something that they can fix because all the errors that he had were mostly mental. Besides, like, I would say a couple interceptions here and there. I mean, those drop snaps were mental. Nobody could prepare for that. Nobody.
Do
No
you
coach.
I would even argue the interceptions were mental.
No, the interceptions were trash. I don't know what the hell those interceptions were. He stared down receivers that he shouldn't have been staring down. I don't know what was going through his mind. Here's what I will tell you. The fumbles were mental. Fantasy Football Tip says, how much do you think Sims' turnovers were early season jitters / crowd noise? I'm going to say this. Crowd noise is BS. He's played in front of crowds. He played at Georgia Tech. I don't know if he ever played at Clemson or any big games
But
like
Connor,
that.
didn't you see Dion invented practicing with crowd noise this week? So he maybe it is a thing. Yeah.
He can get jittered and he can have the crowd noise issue. But what I really think it is there's something going on mentally where he's overthinking. Where does he understand the offense as well as he needs to? Does he know his pre-snap reads? I'm sure he's getting the calls into his helmet. Or actually, I don't know if they do that in Nebraska. Either way, he's getting the calls in and he's thinking about something else while he needs to be thinking about catching the ball. It's like a receiver who catches the ball and runs away with it too early and then drops it, right? Jeff Sims is doing that, but as a quarterback, which is so insane. So I don't know if it was the early season jitters or crowd noise. I think it was not being prepared in some way and not being mentally lined up with where he needed to be lined up. Because if you're mentally
100%.
locked in that moment, you're not dropping those balls.
100%. On one of those drop snaps, actually in the Colorado game, he was noticeably looking up at the wide receiver in their formation when he dropped the snap and caused the fumble.
And Georgia Tech ran a lot of triple option and a lot of very basic one read type offenses. I mean, we're seeing Justin Fields right now struggle mightily in the NFL because Ohio State notoriously runs one read offense. And now he's gone to the NFL and he's struggling to go through progressions and make reads. And it could be something very similar with Jeff Sims.
True.
Nebraska's offense is just so much more like prolific and advanced than what he was doing at Georgia Tech that he's struggling to even understand it.
100%.
Here's a question. Scott says, do you think that Harburg is one of those guys that plays better than he practices? I'll tell you what about this comment. What's interesting. You can't practice what he did against NIU. You can't let him barrel down on linebackers and run head first and let people tackle him the way they were trying to tackle him. So you actually don't know his upside until you get into a real game situation. Tim Tebow, for example, the way he ran, I'm sure they didn't know at Florida that he was going to be that much of a bruiser. But then as soon as he got into games and started doing it, he became a hit because you're like, whoa, this guy needs to play more. Now, is that the same with Harburg? I don't know how the coaches view it, but I do think now that they've seen him do something in game that they haven't seen him do in practice, that's why they're so much more confident in letting him take some shots and why he's going to play some snaps this week. But I don't know. I guess we can say, yeah, I do think he's one of those guys who plays better than he practices because he probably has to make pre-snap reads and he has to call more audibles and he has to throw the ball more in practice. Whereas in the game, they say, we're going to only throw it 20 times a game with you and you're going to run it and you're going to hand it off the entire way through. Just don't turn it over. So it's a totally different situation because they aren't practicing that way. They're practicing to try to get the offense going. Whereas in the game, they're not practicing to get it going. They're trying to run the offense to not make mistakes and pick up whatever yards they can.
And I feel like that's a great point, and I feel like that point is also position based because I've played football also, and so in practice, like you're barely ever hitting the quarterback whether the practice is live or not, and what I'll say that's.
And I can guarantee you for Nebraska, they don't hit him at all. They wear those quarterback jerseys. They don't get touched at all.
Yeah, so like they're not being touched at all. Whereas in like if it was a running back, like if we're speaking of Anthony Grant or of some sorts. Then you can go and think about like, oh yeah, maybe he plays better in games than he does in practice because he's going through a lot of the same shit he does in practice in games. Yep. Sorry, excuse my language. But yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I agree with you. It's tough.
Well, it's also that quarterback is a lot less straightforward than running back in terms of what makes a successful play. because you can have the play go completely wrong from how it was designed by the coaches, and the quarterback can still salvage some positive from it. It's much harder to do that from other positions. Like if you're a wide receiver and you run the wrong route, the play is not going to be a success. If you're a quarterback and you make the wrong read and you chuck it up deep and the guy makes a catch, it's still a good play.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes. Yep.
Well, this
Yep.
or tomorrow, this will all be answered for us. We're gonna get to see both quarterbacks. We're gonna see all the receivers. We're gonna get to see an entirely new stable of running backs. So we're about to find
Ooh,
out.
can I give a prediction?
Of course you can.
Yo, okay. So I personally think that it will be 24-7. I don't think they get 2 touchdowns on us, even with their twos.
Not even a
But I don't think-
garbage time.
No, I don't think they can do it in garbage time. I think that our twos can still get out there and make a stop. I think our twos can be kind of mad about not getting the stop last week. I mean, personally, when I was a football player, when I was even on the bench, I got mad whether I allowed 5 yards or 10. So I can only imagine what the twos allow. You know how mad they are right now this week.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
they want a second
Hey,
shot.
Especially with them,
it may be
especially with them
garbage
giving up
time
the touchdown last week.
Yeah, they're pissed.
Exactly. So I think it could be 24-7, but I don't think that Nebraska's offense can get more than 31 points, but I think they can get 24.
All right, well, we're about to find out. I think it's like 17, 16 hours away. Where are you going to be watching from?
I'm going to be watching from my house.
All right.
Ready to go.
Just like me. Are you going to be on the live stream after?
Oh, yeah. Always, Connor. You know I message you all the time,
All right,
my boy.
bro. All right, I like to hear it. I'll talk to you tomorrow then.
All right, dog. Have a good night.
All right, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, we're going to finish up with my picks for the week. I'm taking
Let's do it.
This is my bro throw contest entry, by the way. I pay $20, and then if I get first place, I win $380. Second place, I win $190. Third, I win $63. And this just goes up because it still gets to like 50 or 75 by tomorrow.
Yeah, the house does not take a cut, so all money that goes in is getting paid straight to the winners.
Yeah, it's sick. So anyway, I'm taking Clemson plus 1.5 at home. You don't like that, but I do. I'm taking UCLA
I'm
plus
going for
3.5. They say Cam Rising might play. That's why that line, or Cam Rising won't play. That's why that line moved down. I'm taking Ole Miss plus 6.5. I don't know. Something funny for Saban. These assistants aren't getting it done. I'm taking Colorado plus 21, like we talked about before. West Virginia plus 5.5. And you know why? Because they're wearing their yellow unis. I love those yellow unis, and they just came off a big win. Texas Tech has been underwhelming. Maryland, because I can't ever bet on Michigan State. I'm taking Iowa State because I just think Oklahoma State's tanking now. Tanking for Caleb Williams. I don't know. They're just a mess. Taking to get their coach fired is really what they're doing.
I don't know. I think Iowa State's a mess. Ever since they lost Brock Purdy, it's been complete downhill. I think it was him and Brees Hall that were propping Matt Campbell up. Nebraska dodged a huge bullet not hiring Campbell. I'll say
Thank
that.
God Nebraska never got Matt Campbell, right? Imagine if they would have hired Scott Frost back in 2021 and hired Matt Campbell. Oof. Okay, down bad. We're not there, though. I'm taking Arkansas plus 17.5 against LSU, although LSU might be a playoff team. I'm taking Oregon State minus 3, Baylor plus 17. I'm taking Notre Dame, and I'm taking Iowa plus 14. I just think that's going to be a low-scoring game. It's my guess. I might be wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, Jake, I'm going to let you go from here. Thanks for coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on. If you guys want to hear more of my college football takes, follow me at snowman_sports on Twitter and TikTok. Corn Craze, thanks for having me.
I'll talk to you in a minute.
Peace.
All right. CTV on top. Thanks for having me on. You should do call-ins more often. Yes, sir. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I'll do call-ins more often for sure. We'll do it on I don't know when we'll do it. We'll do it on like a Thursday or a Wednesday. I'll do it when I have a guest like Corn Nation. I like him. He's got some interesting takes, so I like to have you guys talk to him. Jim, thank you for the $5.55 super chat. Lucky numbers. You said if we're gonna be good for the long haul, we must trust Matt Rule. He is the one we need to trust. Nebraska to win by 28 points. Man, I would love to see a blowout in that situation. Cole says Ole Miss is going to win. Oregon's going to roll. It's going to be interesting. I don't know, man. I would love to see a couple big upsets this week, or a couple big takedowns at least, like see an Ole Miss take down a Bama, almost like a changing of the guard. I'd love to see a Colorado shock the world and beat Oregon. I mean, we're going to have plenty of opportunities. There are so many ranked-on-ranked matchups coming up, so we'll see. I will be back tomorrow, 12 hours from now, or 24 hours from now, 22 hours from now, something like that, whenever that game's over. And I will be live celebrating hopefully a Nebraska victory. Last weekend, we had a great stream because it's just more fun when we celebrate a win than when we have to talk about a loss and all the reasons they lost. So hopefully I'll see you there. And I will be at Michigan next week. So I won't be doing a post-game live stream from my bedroom next week, but I will be doing it tomorrow. So until next time, thank you guys for being here. And I will see you in the next one. Go Big Red.